Hello.
Hi.
Hi, Teresa.
Hi, Arabella. How are you?
Doing well, thank you. Happy Wednesday, you guys. Welcome back to another Adobe live stream. I'm Arabella, and I'm joined by the amazing Teresa Freitas. She is an amazing fine art photographer. You're in Portugal, right? Lisbon?
Yeah, Lisbon. Based, born.
Amazing, amazing. What
Always
time
here.
is it over there?
It's 5:30 p.m.
Okay, very nice. And it's 9:30 a.m. here in the Bay Area.
Sorry.
No, I know, right? I'm so excited for the stream, Teresa. You and I are
excited too.
friends, and
Yes.
so it's going to be a fun time. You guys are in for a treat.
For sure.
Please let us know in the chat where you're watching from, and yeah, say hi. We've already got a few people in here. We've got Anki. Hi, Cody. Gareth. We've got Gareth from. Let's see. Oh, there you go. We've got Gareth, Monica. Love it. So
Hi,
fun.
guys.
Hi, Paco. Welcome, you guys. We are so excited for this 2-day stream with Teresa. You're going to be doing some photo editing, sharing some of your process, and you're going to be showing us all the things, and I'm very excited.
Yeah.
So just a couple housekeeping things. We've got the Photoshop Daily Creative Challenge every morning at 9 a.m. right before with Voodoo Val. So tune in if you want to challenge yourself and learn some new techniques. There should be a button at the top of the chat where you can sign up for those challenges. And yeah, Adobe Max is just around the corner, you guys. It is happening October 26th through the 28th. So make sure you register. It is free and virtual, just like last year. And I went last year and it was so much fun. Learned so much, got to see so many different creatives, followed so many new creatives. So very exciting stuff. So make sure to sign up for that. It is completely free. And one last thing too, if you are watching on YouTube, come on over to Behance, because that's where you get to interact with Teresa, ask her questions, say hi in the chat, and yeah, just be with us all. So come on over. It's behance.net/live. So yeah, I'm so excited. Okay, so we've got some people from John is from the UK, Anthony from Houston, Texas. Fatty says hello. Let's see. Oh, Gareth is from Scotland. Oh, that's so cool. Melanie from Ohio, Joyce from Missouri, Namisha from Chicago. So we've got tons of people in here. So thank you guys for joining us.
Thank you Teresa, so much for being here.
Yeah, thank you. No, thank you.
Thank you.
But Teresa, can you share a little bit about yourself and your work, and kind of show us your amazing pastel-like whimsical images?
Yes. Obsessed. Thank you. You're too sweet. Thank you so much. Yeah. Well, I started on Instagram, actually. That's how I got into photography. I was just taking pictures with my smartphone in Lisbon. As I said, I was born and I'm based in Lisbon, Portugal. And yeah, Instagram was just, a way of keeping a creative diary. I was in college at a time taking multimedia art and design. So I wasn't really planning on being a photographer, but I think it happens with all photographers almost, that I get to
evolution.
meet. Yeah, for sure. And yeah, my personal work is, I think you're able to see that it's basically focused on color and how it can really shape the subject or place that I'm photographing. So I'm trying to sculpt an image that doesn't have to stick with reality. And that's what gives it this kind of painterly pastel look. I think that's basically where my work focuses on. And yeah, I guess because of my influence from college in fine arts, I was looking a lot at painting masters and their way of using color, and also cinematography and the cinematic color. So just really how color can be used in visual storytelling and can bring a whole new dimension to an image. Besides this personal work, I also work with brands, and my work here is basically creating content that focuses on color as well. So color has to be a very strong element in the images that I create for their products or services. And yeah, just trying to bring creativity and color harmony together in one place.
Obsessed.
Well, thanks. So I work with different types of brands, from tech to fashion to perfumes, and I guess color brings it all together, so it makes it easier for me to keep that consistent look between my personal and professional work in a way that's cohesive and almost like a signature style that I can be recognized from. And some of these opportunities come also with traveling, and I get to travel for work, which is basically
amazing.
what I most enjoy doing, and I think everyone can relate. And yeah, that's actually what we're going to look at here today. Is I'm going to be editing some pictures from my latest trip to Malta, which was just last week. I haven't edited any of these so far. So you're going to look at the whole process and going through the images and why I choose one or another and how I edit different travel photographs. And travel for me can be documenting a place. It can be street, it can be landscape. It's a bunch of things that I hope to show you here, and just show you different ways of keeping a consistent and cohesive look throughout different subjects.
Editing style.
By color, by using color.
Amazing. Well, I'm so excited to watch all of this. So, and I think a lot of people are in here too. Cody says, these pastels are amazing. Ajia says, I love the colors of her work. And thank you, Cody, for plugging in Teresa's Instagram and Behance. So make sure to check out.
Thank you.
Check out all of it. Give her a follow. Give her some love. I'm just so excited. And okay, so we're doing some travel photos today, but tomorrow you're also working on, you said architecture and
architecture and fashion. So basically architecture is actually from this trip to Malta, which is the part of the work I was doing there. And the travel is amazing, more like the personal side of traveling and just enjoying the place as I can with the time I have available. And today we're going to focus on travel photography and street and a little bit of landscape. And tomorrow we're going to work on architecture by a Maltese architect called Richard England, that you're going to love his work, and you're going to understand why I chose him tomorrow. And fashion, amazing. Just to show a different type of photography that's not really in my comfort zone, but it's really important to keep trying different things and just trying to explore different photography genres. And that's what we're going to look at.
I'm so excited. So hopefully we've enticed you to come watch tomorrow as well. But yeah, both of these streams today and tomorrow will be available for replay. So don't worry if you don't get to stick around the entire time. But that's the beauty of Adobe Live. You can kind of be working, editing, or doing your normal stuff while having it play in the background too. So Adobe Live's a great resource. So highly recommend that you watch both of the streams if you can. But I'd love to get started, Teresa, if you're ready.
Yeah, I am. I just wanted to start a little bit with the introduction of Lightroom and how I use Lightroom to basically import and manage my images. And the first thing I like to do is have a separate catalog for each project or travel or something that I'll be working on, because my computer isn't a super huge machine that can support everything. And it really helps that you have just the number of images that you're going to work with, instead of having to process, past images that have nothing to do what you're going to do what you're going to work on today. And so that's what I did. I created a catalog called Malta 2021. And here's just the travel images, so not the architecture that I'll also be showing tomorrow. And yeah,
I love it because I can see the images and the colors of it now, knowing exactly like where it's
how
going to
we're going
go,
to
how
look.
we're going to achieve that is incredible because I already know your style. So, and hint,
Cool.
hint, Teresa also has released like presets in
Yes.
the past. So I am a purchaser of her presets.
Thanks.
So fun. So I'm very excited. And we've
Yeah,
got a couple
cool.
people saying, Bruce says, love the subtleties. And Anthony says, I really like your palette color choices and cropping, Teresa. You have a great eye. Beautiful.
Oh, love. I love that he mentioned that. That's
Yeah.
really, really
Yeah,
kind
it's
because,
really like the like cropping and what you choose to focus on. That's like such a big part of your photography identity, you know?
yeah, because although I'm really focused on color, composition
Composition.
can make or break an image. And if I'm
Yeah,
not composing with color in mind, but if I'm not composing with different framing, that
exactly.
makes me attracted to the image itself. I know
Yeah.
you see an interesting subject, but sometimes it's hard to make it a good photograph. They're not the same. So
Yeah.
yeah, I'm really happy that he mentioned that. And thank you.
Yes. I'm sure that won't be the last of the comments.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, okay. So we can kind of start right over. Just one thing I'd like to mention is that this is something that I'm just recently been doing, which is adding keywords to the images. And this is really useful when you have a really big catalog of images and you want to find them, especially in the future. If I want to go back to this trip, I can just, look for different types of things. For example, if I type in car, it shows me the images from Malta, but that have cars in them. And this for me is, just a game changer. And it's something that I've recently started doing. And I really encourage anyone that uses Lightroom to do too. But yeah, let's head over to the develop module. And we're going, it's in the car. I'm going to start in the beginning.
Straight to the car.
These are all the images from the trip. I flagged a few so we can, just focus on a select subjects and compositions and color types, just to show you different ways of editing them. So we're not going to go through the whole, I think it's, almost 700 images. But
wow. Yeah,
I mean,
that's normal.
Let's keep it simple. Yeah, and actually, I can do.
Question for you: what are you using to photograph your images?
I'm using. I just moved to a medium format camera, digital Fujifilm GFX 650S, and it's amazing. And we were talking about cropping before and framing, and what this camera actually allows me to do is just to create new images from one image. So I can, because of the huge sensor, I can just crop it in different
ways.
In different
that's
ways.
Incredible.
That detail and quality, it's amazing. But yeah, before that, this was just last month. Before that, I was using a Canon 6D for the last 10 years.
Oh my
gosh. It served me really well. So, it's just a matter. They're both really heavy cameras, especially with the lens that I'm using, which are zoom lens that are really good but heavy. But they're the cameras that I'm excited to photograph with. So for me, they're the right cameras, tools. Right? Yeah, for sure. That's exactly
amazing.
It. And it just makes it really simple to get excited to go out and shoot. One thing that I'd like to mention is that I only shoot on sunny days, and I hate shooting on overcast and cloudy and gray days.
That's incredible.
Colors don't pop at all.
Yeah.
And that's something that I'd like to mention, just so people know why I choose to, I mean, if I'm traveling, I'm going to photograph throughout the day. I'm not going to choose a specific time. And if it's raining, it's raining. I can't avoid it. But I always try to travel around sunny months.
Sunny times. That's actually amazing, Teresa, because I think for the longest time, I think, it was always like overcast was kind of like a photographer's favorite,
the conventional,
the conventional,
photography.
And I think over the last few years, we've adopted like a more, had open our hearts to, direct natural sunlight because it produces some beautiful, there's a lot of like contrast in both color and light.
Both color and light. And and that's actually something I love, and then kind of go against in editing. If you see what I'm doing here, I'm bringing the highlights and shadows closer together so they look less natural. So there's a less contrast between them. And that's something that gives them that flat look and the beginning of the pastel feel. I mean, if we look at the before and after, just by changing this part of the tones, it already makes a huge difference. Of course, if I can exaggerate a little bit, it really depends on the image itself. And if I need to bring details in the whites or the highlights, or I want to keep a little bit of the blacks. But yeah, this already makes a huge difference in terms of how the image looks and feels. Regarding clarity, I actually like to use it a little bit less than bring it down. So it looks a little bit less digital, I guess. Just remove some of the sharpness that digital cameras automatically do when you're shooting. And then this is basically where the magic happens, which is the color part. I don't use a lot of color grading. It really depends on kind of what I'm going for at the time. And in an image like this, where there's a lot happening between, fore, mid, and background, I like to have certain pops of color. So maybe just reds where the eye can rest a bit. So when there's a lot happening, the eye sometimes doesn't, know where to look at or go through when you don't have those leading elements. And just bringing down some colors and bringing up
others,
some of the others, it really helps to just make it a little less complex, I guess, and just more easy to look at.
Fairy says, did someone just say medium format?
Yes.
Love it. Moses says, I have the 60, great camera. And a couple more people have joined us. Hi, Robert. Hi, Fairy.
Hi.
Moses says, I just bought the Canon EOS 5D SR, which is nice. That's cool. Yeah, I mean, all of those like have more like, a lot of pixels. Like it's easier to kind of, like you said, like crop. Just in many different ways. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and just keep the detail all around. It's so good. I mean, I can just do like this, and I don't want to, but I could.
You could, yeah. Anthony's saying, Teresa, are you photographing in camera raw mode as your default?
Yeah, always. I mean, and especially when you're working with the digital camera and you want to have that detail in the shadows and in the highlights, and just make it possible to edit how you want it to edit. Raw just makes such a huge difference. I mean, it's just that range between shadows and highlights that makes such a difference from JPEG, for sure. Yeah, so we can go on the next one. Yeah, this is something. This is kind of, those images that I don't have a lot of time to think about, and just I see the cat and I see the old lady and
yes. You're like,
I have to shoot. Yeah, exactly. But sometimes composition isn't. I think one of the best things of composition is, as you practice, it does come natural to you, and it makes it easier to be quick on your feet and just capture how you're trying to capture a subject to make it an interesting photograph. And I don't know where I was going with this, because I can't remember what I was saying. It's really hard to talk and edit at the same time.
It is. I always commend people whenever we do these Adobe Lives, because it is hard. It's a hard task to do, to be creative and also be like, mentally talking.
Remember of what I was saying. But basically that experimenting and taking a lot of pictures really helps with getting the composition right, or at least close to right, that you can work on in your edits later. And I mean, these images are basically the memories I have from the place. And even if they don't look appealing to everyone, they do to me because they have a special meaning or story behind them. And that's I think one of the wonders of travel photography is all about, is just showing your point of view and what you thought was appealing at the time.
Definitely.
And through edit, I think one of the best things is just that you can kind of fall back in love with a moment that you've experienced before. Like if I see this image unedited, maybe I think like, this didn't work like I wanted to. But then when I start to edit, oh yeah, I remember why I like this.
Yeah.
So maybe,
That's I love the way that you put that, Teresa. That was perfectly said. I like that it can, remind you of these like moments and remember why you, I
captured that in the first place, right? Exactly.
Yeah, definitely. Okay. Do you ever print your work, Teresa?
I actually am working with an online gallery that I'm selling prints with.
Okay.
They're based in London, and they're just they're great because they're two female founders that just really want to push away from the gallery art based world where everything is very intimidating and you don't know what the prices are when you arrive to a space, and it's hard to make that first step in starting to collect art from an artist you like, or and they really push against that. They're great, and I love seeing my images printed, whether in prints or book covers. I mean, they just add a different dimension to the whole thing. The fact that you can actually keep, and I'm talking about my prints, but any other photographer prints or books, they're such a nice object to collect in your home and share your space with. It's really special.
That's amazing.
Actually,
I feel like go ahead.
No. Go ahead, because this is different from what we were talking about. Just something I remember. So
I was just going to mention how it's interesting because I mean, like prints and stuff, like we're like the generation, or at least like my generation, like we're the most photographed, and we have like, we post the most, but we don't have like as many prints as like older generations, which is so fascinating. So
it is.
It's like, I want to make sure that I start like, buying prints from artists like yourself, that like to kind of have those memories.
And not only for yourself. I mean, it's such a great help to artists. Such a great,
way to support
actual
them.
support. Yeah, it's just a brilliant way to show your support and support them financially, which is also important for artists because we can't unfortunately live off Instagram for the time being. So it's really important if you can support them that way. Just photography, books, prints, postcards, anything really that it can be you can even get in touch. I got in touch with a couple of artists before, just saying, I can't afford one of your prints, but let me know how I can help you. And they usually just send you a little print that you're very very happy to have, because it's like a treasure and it was made thinking of you. It's really special.
That's awesome.
Actually, the thing the thing I wanted to talk about is because you mentioned presets, and I actually wanted to talk how I use presets in my own work. And I don't really use past presets on present pictures. I have them here, like from either brand collaborations, or they make something very obvious right away. But I do like spending the time with the picture and just seeing where it takes me. But it does help to see, just scrolling a little bit and trying to figure out, okay, maybe this will work. Maybe I can get it a little bit colder or warmer. I prefer having the oranges a little bit reddish, or it really helps. But what I do is, if I'm editing the photos of one place that was, shot under the same light and the same mood, I guess.
Conditions,
and the same conditions, what I can do is actually just develop presets that.
I know. I'm noticing that all your presets are named after specific places. It's that's so cute.
Exactly. I am not sure how you spell this place, but I think it's this exactly. So, and yeah, I can see if this works for the other images that I'm working on of that specific place. I don't tend to where is it here? So yeah, it kind of works, but it, you know, working with presets, you always have to tweak a little bit,
certain things,
to make sure that it looks the best it can for you and you feel comfortable with it. And
Absolutely.
That's something I really love doing. And just, you know, just this is very therapeutic for me, just being here editing. Normally I'm not talking. That makes it
I know, right?
more relaxing, but yeah, it definitely is. It's a really great way of connecting to your images, because when we're out shooting, at least when I'm out shooting, I don't really have the time to, and I don't really want to go through them.
Like right then and there. Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's important to have some distance, and also it's a distraction, right? If I took this picture and then I was going to look at the screen and, oh, how does it look? I maybe would have missed something more interesting happening.
Well, it's almost like you like it kind of like a surprise, like the way that like maybe film cameras would, you know, where you take the photo, but you don't get to see it until it gets developed.
Exactly. Yeah, that's exactly it, for sure.
Yeah, I love that.
Oh, thanks. I mean, this tool of the upright is the best thing that Lightroom ever did, at least in my opinion. The fact that it just magically straightens images, because
the auto transform.
The auto transform. Because when you're, and I think in almost every situation, but when you're out shooting in the streets and you just want to capture a specific moment or something that's happening right in front of you, it's really hard to keep the line straight. I mean, if you have the time and it's slow paced and you're working on the composition and just going through, just anticipating what might happen, you can have everything straightened out. But at least I don't really have that capability. And even when I have time to think of the composition, I often get the horizontal lines really just crooked. I don't know why. Maybe there's something wrong. I hope not, but yeah.
Oh, no. I love this image. The crates are so fun.
They're so fun. I'm editing a bunch of different images just to show that, you know, it doesn't really matter what the subject is. Well, of course it matters if it has color in it or not. So that's what I'm going to look for when I'm out shooting, is if there's a strong element of color with them.
Amazing.
It's if you keep it consistent, either by using a preset or just editing them from scratch, but it really helps to create that cohesive look through editing the whole bunch of different subjects in the same day or at the same time. If I go back and forth and just come back on another day, I'll probably I would have to go through the images all over again to see what I was going for. But if I do this all in one go, for me, it works better. But it depends. I don't have that many images to edit. It really depends on the work you have cut out for you.
Sure. Ferry's asking, do you ever try shooting in fine JPEG with some adjustments that you do in your camera?
I haven't. And just, you know, I just got the Fuji last month and that option showed up, but I'm so used to working with RAW. I don't see really the point on trying something else, just because I feel like it works so well. Just trying to decide if we need to, which one I'm going to edit. Maybe this one. This is an amazing, like, natural pool. So Malta is an island that has so many different things just close to each other. It's incredible. Yeah, it really is. But yeah, to answer it, I haven't. I don't really work with JPEGs, but do let me know if you see any advantages in working with them, because I don't really know what they are. I mean, of course, the RAWs and with medium format, the file size is just huge. It's really huge. It's hard. I'm working with an external SSD card just to make sure that I have enough space for all these images. Right. But, you know, sometimes you don't have that option. And it's really something to consider when getting a camera like this. And maybe that's why people use fine JPEGs. I don't know.
That's
I'm
true.
really,
Yeah. Yeah. I
yeah,
mean, whatever works for you in your process,
for sure. Yeah.
Jason
I always
says,
recommend
oh, yeah,
raw for editing, but
right.
if
There's
you're
just
able
like
to
so
do
much
what you like
more
with
control. I
JPEGs,
think that's the only thing
yeah.
that makes RAW so enticing, is that it's like, then you can really like, even if maybe you take a shot that's not like necessarily perfect, there's always like a chance that you can fix it because
Mm-hmm.
of that, because of the RAW and
Yes.
like its
Yeah, I'm
capabilities.
sure we're going to go through some examples where I just blew the exposure settings completely
Right,
off, and
right. Which, because
it's
it
going
makes
to
it
save.
happens, you know, when you're when you're
Yeah.
traveling and you're going around. I mean, like, I let us know in
Yeah.
the chat if you're like a street photographer too, because it's a skill on its own. Like being a street photographer, one, you have to get over the fact that you're running around with a camera and like people are gonna notice you. Two, it's like, you know, the conditions can change like from one second to another. You know, it could be cloudy, then all of a sudden it's like, you know, super bright. So you have to be like quick on your feet, you know?
Hmm. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
That's exactly it.
Fairy's asking, what's the worst condition you've ever faced? Me, purple fringing. What I mean, thick purple fringing.
Yes, purple fringing is horrible. That's for sure. It happens. It happens, and it doesn't happen so much with this camera actually, which is a blessing.
That's good.
But yeah, yeah. I mean the
Yeah,
the
what's the worst
chromatic,
condition?
yeah. In terms of the image itself and not the weather condition, right? The what?
Yeah, I think
The,
so. I mean, maybe both. Maybe answer both.
yeah, because the worst condition is definitely rain and overcast. As I mentioned, I hate how colors look look
Yeah.
in that condition. It just doesn't. Um, I feel like the colors don't pop at all. If
Yeah.
this makes
Yeah, it's
sense.
more flat.
Yeah. Oh, this. Sorry. And yeah, the chromatic aberration that you sometimes get, and especially the type of editing that I do when I get the highlights down and the shadows up, that can cause a lot of that fringing around the edges, which doesn't look nice in any case.
Right.
So yeah, that's something I try to avoid, but it's hard because this is how I like to edit, and I don't really feel comfortable with an image that doesn't look the way I want it to.
Yeah.
If it has too much of an aberration, I just have to let it let it go.
Let it go.
Let it
You have
go.
to part ways.
Exactly. Yeah. Oof.
Uh,
It's hard.
yeah, for sure. Anthony says, do you prefer working in Lightroom Classic or Lightroom, and why?
Because I'll already feel old when saying this, but you know, Lightroom Classic was. Ooh, did I edit? Lightroom Classic was something. Was the software that was existing at the time
At the
that I
time. Yeah.
started.
Yeah.
And
Have you tried the
I've tried, but you know, you just feel a little bit you're like willing to, okay, I'm going to adapt, I'm going to try this. I just
yeah.
didn't feel the need. I mean, Adobe just kept Lightroom Classic around, and for that reason I never felt the urge to change.
Yeah,
I mean, I know
change,
it's
yeah.
super useful to sync, and sometimes, for
Well,
example,
especially for on the go, right? It's like
exactly, yeah. And when I'm traveling, I prefer not to bring my laptop with me and just just have my iPad.
Yeah.
And Lightroom Mobile works perfectly well for the edits that I do. I don't use anything very out of reach in terms of the difference between mobile and desktop. But
yeah,
I just
you're like,
yeah, I just use this because it's the one I've been using for so many years, and I haven't felt like it's missing something crucial.
Yeah,
because
definitely.
I also upload when I back up, I upload to the cloud and then on my external SSD, and I have a local copy, so I don't really feel the urge to have it synced everywhere. But yeah, I get it. I get why it's super useful. I just haven't made that leap yet, but not for any particular reason rather than the fact that it's what I'm used to.
Yeah, sure.
Lightroom Classic. So yeah,
Makes
Lightroom
sense.
Classic. Yeah.
Yeah, let us know in the chat. Like, are you a Lightroom Classic or Lightroom, I'm already forgetting the name of it, but it's like, yeah, there you go. CC, Creative Cloud.
CC.
Let us know. And also let us know if, like, what's your favorite condition, like weather condition to shoot in? Like if you're a street photographer, like, let us know.
Yeah,
I also
there's
love
so many.
the natural direct sunlight too. It's just so exciting.
It's hard to resist, and the fact that
It's hard,
shadows
yeah.
just added,
The
you know, just
shadows.
an extra visual depth that you don't get from overcast. So things start to look three-dimensional when you have shadow and light, and if you don't have that, it looks more flat. And
Sure.
For me, it just looks more dull in terms of color. But you know, if that's what you're going for, that's great. It really depends on what your style is and what you're going for.
Yeah.
What was this name of this place?
Bruce is asking, do you like or use any filters on your camera, Teresa? And I think you kind of answered this question a little bit ago.
Yeah, because I use RAW, it doesn't matter if I use any filters. It doesn't.
Yeah.
It doesn't. I think it only saves that information with JPEGs.
Yeah.
And yeah, because this is my favorite part, which is editing and just seeing the colors pop and making what I want to bring to an image through editing. This is my favorite part, so I don't really use filters right away. But some people really do awesome stuff with it, and
yeah, it's totally up to you and how you work and what you like at the end of the day. Megan says auto transform 95% of the time is perfect. It's such a great feature. My photos are never straight.
Yeah, this is a rarity that we have like this vertical line just looking vertical here. I'm super crooked. I don't know why it happens. I'm just not looking at the lines, I guess. I'm looking at the focus and then
the subject or what you're trying to capture.
If I have time, I'll try to make them straight. But with the horizon line in beaches, for example, I'm a disaster. It's funny how it works because it looks straight when I'm looking at
right when you're shooting.
Yeah, but it doesn't. It isn't straight at all. So yeah, this is one of the best features that and I think a lot of us we're just we learn by experimenting and just testing out the different settings in Lightroom. That's how I discovered like this pastel look. I didn't have the intention of discovering it. It just happened as I was, just tweaking the settings and testing out how different looks would make my image feel. And it's just the auto transform tool. It was just something I like accidentally bumped into because we don't have an infinite options here, but I never clicked on it before. I didn't see anyone using it before, and when I was blown away by this for sure. It really helps, and I think tomorrow with the architecture pictures,
that's gonna prove to be so useful.
Yes, because it's all about lines, right? Architecture lines, color, shape, form, but lines are such a big part of it. And it's going to be very useful for sure.
It's so interesting too how our brains like think like, oh, if it just went like a little like this, and then it's like visually like
yeah, exactly. Before the auto straight thing, I was just using the how do you call this, the aspect, the angles, and just trying to straighten it out a bit, and just like I have to look at past pictures and use this tool and see if I can save some of the ones that I just disregarded because the lines were just too crooked to even put them out there. And this is just
amazing.
It's just a game changer for sure.
For sure. Yeah. Cody says Lightroom Classic for her. Yeah.
Another one.
Jurgen's asking, do you sometimes remove things from the pictures or only cropping? Great question.
It really depends. On street and travel, it's rare that I do. I mean, unless there was like a dog poo over here or something like something I wanted to avoid
unless you find it like it's art.
Yeah, that's true. No, not the case here, but yeah, with travel and street, I often don't really do any retouching in that sense, unless it's really distracting for some reason, and I feel like the image would just breathe a lot more without, just have the focus, be the focus, and not anything else. But it's rare with when it's more, just still life photography and working with brands and fashion. There's a lot of retouching normally, because especially when building sets and having set design in your home, in your room, or you don't have, in my case, I don't have a studio. It takes a lot of retouching to make them look nice and clean, and just how I want them to look. But in terms of street and travel, not so much. It would have to be just, it would be weird to have something that's taking away the focus of the image, because supposedly when I was composing it, I was already taking that to account. But not to say that it can happen. In terms of retouching in Lightroom, I prefer to do it in Photoshop. I think retouching in Lightroom is more for pimples and little things that are very, very small.
I think you can be more precise in Photoshop.
For sure. And
although I would say it has developed, the healing and the retouching tools have grown a lot in Lightroom. Definitely more precise in Photoshop.
More precise, and also the fact that I was using Photoshop before I was using Lightroom, so I'm also very used to working with Photoshop in that way. And I just go ahead and just edit, just click here, edit in Adobe Photoshop, and just go from there. And then I save it comes back here. It's just so easy. The workflow,
love the seamlessness.
Yes, it is. It's just the best. Adobe did a great job with that, for sure.
Bruce says, love the car in this shot. I think it was the car shot.
This one, right?
Definitely. Fairy says, I really want a medium format in the future. Oh,
I want you to have one.
Yes,
too.
We're sending you all the energy, Fairy. We're going to manifest that you will have a medium format in the future.
It's really, if you like that sort of thing, I mean, if it makes a difference to you, you're going to be amazed at the possibilities. I'm not even cropping that much here, but I could if I wanted to. I mean, if I get the focus right. Sometimes I don't, and because I use autofocus, I really think it's just, cameras do it so well nowadays. And you just see, I can like crop it into,
or even have a little bit more of that window, or like
I mean, I can this is focused.
That's beautiful.
So it's I mean, it's
so
just I love this. I love just being able to bring out new images from one image. It's really special. That's
and it
what
completely changes the focus too. It's like, okay, what is this new image or new crop telling about, the story?
Exactly. And sometimes I'm just, when I don't have time to, zoom or get closer to get a specific scene, I just take the picture as it is. And the fact that I can later maybe bring back the focus to what I was trying to focus on is just really special and useful.
Solomon is saying, I live in Scotland, so the sunny days are few and far between. So I have to usually make do with overcast most of the time.
I mean, that's right. I mean, you have to work with what you have. Lisbon is a very sunny place, which I'm lucky, and that's maybe one of the reasons why
you like it, why you prefer that.
Because I grew up in this environment, and it's what I really like and feel some enjoyment in shooting. But if I lived in Scotland, I would have to adapt to overcast days but beautiful landscapes and beautiful greens.
Solomon,
they have greens.
Some gorgeous. I've been to Edinburgh and the Highlands, and you guys have some amazing castles and amazing green. Like I've never seen so much green. Like
the green is so different.
The greenery is just incredible over there. So I mean, it's all about perspective, right?
each place will have its advantages and disadvantages, and that's part of the beauty of travel as well, is the fact that you see so many different things and just experience just different colors, different surroundings, different architecture, and that's what really draws me to it.
Teresa, how do you deal, or like how do you approach like shooting, like being a street photographer, or like shooting on the street? Like, was there ever a time where you were kind of nervous, or like,
I think at least I always feel kind of nervous when there's someone in the scene. For example, the car image.
Yeah, because it's almost like you don't want to, like
be too intrusive.
I mean,
because maybe I wouldn't like being photographed as well, and I usually don't. So I completely understand that. And I think, street photographers that do portraits have it much more figured out than I do, because I have, well, it's not something that I've really explored so far, so I can't say much how I would deal with it. But in terms of just capturing people, I try to be the less intrusive as I can, and when I understand that I'm being a little bit too much, I try to be quick. And sometimes you have to be a little bit sneaky and just pretend that you're taking a picture of something else, and the person passes and you take another picture of something else that's happening. We're really photographing that person. It's just a matter of trying to keep it a little bit balanced between what you're able to do without being just too intrusive. And if the person looks and say something, you can give them a compliment, and you look so good, I was trying to take a picture, can I take another one? Maybe they'll say yes, and you'll keep the original picture, because the one with the pose is usually not
what you want
that gets chosen.
That's true. That kind of reminds me of, I don't know if you're familiar with the photographer Vivian Meyer.
Yes, of course.
Yes. And how sneaky she was by using her medium format camera, because she could look down and she was never like
waist height.
Yep.
It's
incredible.
That's a easier way to do it. I tried to do it with this camera because it has like a tilted screen. So I was like in a boat and just pretending I was looking at pictures and actually taking a picture.
Taking something. So
it's a difficult thing, I guess, to think about, just because you don't want to be too intrusive, but you do want to get the shot that you wanted.
Has anybody ever like reached out and noticed that they were in one of your photos?
Oh that happens all the time. And sometimes people even think they're in my photos and then they are not, and I can say no, it wasn't you.
You're like, no, but if you live here, then you definitely weren't here.
Exactly.
Oh, that's so funny.
But there's a lot of different people and approaches, and some people feel uncomfortable but they don't say anything, and you just move along, and 10 minutes after they'll forget it, I think. And then there are people who say don't take my pictures, or they cover their face with something as they pass by. I mean, it's what you have to work with. So that's what usually happens. So just different reactions from different people. But I think you can see that I'm not really too close to people normally.
No, and usually they're kind of like either like looking away, it's kind of like a little
on
bit
their
of a
back.
mystery there.
I went to Budapest to the how do you call them, thermal baths, and people were half naked, taking the super relaxation moment. I was there just just ruining the silence with my shutter. And for some reason, in that situation where I thought I would get kicked out, no one said a thing. And
oh my gosh.
And I took pictures so close to people. That's like the closest to portraiture that you've
ever gotten.
And no reaction. People were just
They were just so cash.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow.
You never really
That's
know what to
incredible.
expect. It can come from
Yeah. Well,
anywhere.
especially I'm sure like travel has a lot to do with that, right? Like, and where are you? Like what are the kind of people, like, what are their mannerisms? What's important to
Yes, of
them?
course.
Like maybe in one country or one area, like people value privacy and they don't want to be,
Yes,
photographed or whatever. So it's all, you kind of have to like
yeah,
read the room a little.
yeah, having a little bit understanding of ethical travel
Culture.
photography,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, and culture norms. And I'm traveling to mostly to Europe, so it's something that it's part of Portugal, so
Yes.
that's I know how people more or less will react and what I can or can't do. But if I'm traveling to somewhere a little bit different, like Africa, for example, I do have to just, like you said, read the room a little bit and
Yes,
understand
exactly.
what they can or might feel that it's offensive. And that's something, of course, you have to watch out as a photographer.
Yeah.
But
For sure.
it's part of street
It's
photography
part of
for
it.
sure.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Susanna is asking, how did you find your style and how did you stick with it?
Yeah, I think it didn't happen very intentionally, as I said before, because I was photographing with my phone. Then I got into like creative editing with mobile apps, and just eventually, I don't know. I think it was in college when I moved to a digital camera that like realized the potential of color in photography. Because before then, I was using filters on Instagram or
Yeah.
Visco or something like the apps that everyone was using at the time. Like 5, 6 years ago. I haven't probably more. Yeah, and when I got that digital camera and started to import those pictures into Lightroom, I started realizing just how much color changed the whole tone and mood of the scene.
Right.
And it took me a while. I think it was like 2, 3 years until I actually developed this style that I'm now comfortable and happy with.
Yeah.
I was doing really washed out pastels at first. Then I started to make it pop a little bit. I don't know what happened. Maybe I was, this makes a huge difference. Just the fact that I didn't, I had less vibrancy, and one day I just pushed it and saw like, ooh, color.
Yeah.
And, it's just, the fact that you're messing around with the settings a little bit, and I'm using the tone and the color, basically. I'm not using anything else. And this just makes a whole lot of difference in the outcome of the image. It just happened a little bit naturally throughout the years. So 2, 3 years in developing. When I got to a point that I was really happy with the results, just stuck with it. And yeah,
That's amazing.
If you have a more or less defined workflow, bringing the highlights down and the shadows up, it starts to look cohesive just by doing that. And if you work with presets, that's the same too. You can use the reference view just to look at how pictures relate to each other. It's a really fun process, I think, to edit for color and to edit in a way that makes it recognizable as your own. So that's definitely when I was really happy about my work and started actually considering myself a photographer, because before then I was just like a designer with a camera and nothing more. But yeah, it just take your time in figuring out what works for you and try different things.
I think that's part of the process in the beginning, is you try different things until it like feels right for you.
Yeah, it's exactly that. It's just, it will click when
it will click.
Yeah.
Susanna said, sometimes I like very bright and saturated photos, but other times pale and quiet. But I would really like to find a style and stick with it.
Oh,
yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I get it, because it's easy, I think, as creatives to like a number of different things. I mean, I love black and white photography, and it would be hard to get my signature style and color style in black and white photography.
Right.
So I kind of moved away from it. But I think it's fine that you keep it like a hobby. So something I do just personally is just take sometimes just film black and white photos that I keep myself, for example, just to keep that like a hobby. And then this is my work. And but I only show this to the world because I do want to have a consistent look to be recognized from. And that's a little bit how I can stand out from other people.
Sure.
But yeah, I mean, it is sometimes a matter of choices, but I think that if you like both, maybe you haven't just yet figured out the one that you like the most, because it hasn't appeared to you, but it will for sure. And maybe it's just a little bit on the middle of those two things, or something completely different. I think you just have to, I mean, I was taking more pale and muted pictures for a long time.
Yeah.
And then I switched. And then from the moment I switched, I never went back. So it's really hard to just to give an advice on how to
on how to develop your style, because it kind of has to come to you. You kind of come into your style, and everyone comes to it differently, right? Like some people know right away, some people don't figure it out until way later. It's really trial and error.
Sometimes you're going to look at the inspirations that are working for you, or the influences you have throughout your life that might have help you develop that taste and personal inclination for a certain type of colors. And as I said before, I was hugely inspired by painting. I think that's what I really liked when I discovered this painterly quality in my images. I was like, oh, this is this, because this kind of looks like a painting or an illustration or a watercolor or something. And that's so just trying to find those common ground, those common points between the artists and work you admire, and the elements that you want to bring into your own images,
into your own work. For sure. Great answer. Ferry says, me in the street with my camera, collect as many photos as possible, stealth required in this mission. I mean, that's pretty accurate.
That's very accurate, because I do travel mostly alone. I don't because I think it's really hard if you're traveling with another photographer. It can be really hard to just going to the same places and
well, you're like
often
kind of in a place, like you're spending your little time kind of like waiting for some of those moments, or just like there's so much like around you.
Yeah, it's hard. And if you're bringing a friend or something, I'm a little bit undecided between the landscape version, which shows like this, or the vertical.
I think I like the vertical personally.
Yeah,
I love the sweet tooth and the yellow.
To the vertical.
the yellow underneath car. The sweet tooth and the car. And the cart, match. The little carts, or the little the little teal. That's so fun.
And this, you can see I blew out the highlights completely, but
you can bring it back.
And this is for me, like, this is amazing.
The best.
I really don't understand how this is possible. Yeah.
I know, right?
It's weird that you're able to do this. And I completely agree with the description, because it's me alone, just with my camera, trying to be a little bit stealthy sometimes. And I really like photographing different things, and whether it's street or just buildings where nothing has happened and doesn't really depend on a moment, so I can take my time and work on composition or wait for the right light. And it's something I really, really enjoy doing. I think that's for example, this picture where nothing really interesting has happened, but I just got really attracted by these little trains and things.
So cute.
And
and the two men talking, and the two women going into the pie store,
and just getting a little bit
good. Little moments like that.
and it's not something that, you know, screams like, whoa, this is amazing, but
right. But it's just like,
yeah,
it's like those normal little moments of life that like kind of seem almost like a little insignificant, but it's like,
yeah,
there's beauty in all of that.
yeah,
And
yeah,
that's part
yeah.
of why I love your work. That my reasoning for why I
Mm.
love your work, because it feels just so like you said, like it's those moments in passing.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, that's nice. Thanks.
Yeah.
Oh, love it.
Susanna says vertical for me too, for the
Good.
sweet tooth.
Glad we got it. Yeah, I almost always go to vertical, and I know that, you know, when Instagram was
Yeah.
started to allow the vertical,
The
the landscape
vertical.
or portrait, yeah, besides the square, and everyone just suggested that portrait or vertical would be more advised because it fills the whole phone screen, and that's definitely true. But I don't know. I really always compose vertically. I don't know why, because I started photographing with a mobile camera, and I
Actually,
just
yeah,
got
that probably
used
makes
to the,
sense. Mm-hmm.
yeah,
Yeah,
just
you
got
got used
used to
to it.
that. Yeah.
Yeah. I know. I think I'm kind of the same way, I think too. There's just something about the vertical, like I think it's like the height and like just how
The
much
verticality,
the verticality, yeah. I mean,
yeah, that you,
yeah.
but it is the
The
fact
word
that you,
itself.
yeah, exactly, the word itself, and brings a sense of scale, and just, you know, I think our reality is more horizontal, and
Yes.
and just cameras allow us to crop in a way that we're not used to, and, you know, looking at things in a way that we're not used to almost always makes it interesting. Like, you know, drone shots, for example, where, I mean, it's really hard to have a distinct style in drone photography, I think, but just the fact that you're taking like a bird-eye view is already amazing, and
Amazing.
it
Yeah.
works just on itself.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think I just like vertical because I started with vertical, and I'm a woman of tradition, I guess, and just keep it
Woman
all the
of
same.
habit.
Yeah, what habit exactly?
Bruce says, love that toy truck ride. Pretty classic.
What's oh yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
the truck ride. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
so cute.
Yeah, I sometimes like wait, like I wish there was like someone going into the toy truck, a little child just going into play. But with street, you can't really hope for a lot of things. And I'm going to show you like in a bit. Like I waited so long for something to happen in a certain place, and just wasted like half an hour for
yeah. How
a
long are your
non-exist.
shoots, or like when you're out and about?
Yeah, well, I like to get up really early and just leave in the morning, but I always kind of wait for the sun to shine because, like we said,
That's
I like the light and
that's your
shadow,
element.
and
Uh-huh.
you know, before it comes up, it's either too blue or too yellow somehow. I guess the blue and golden hour have that effect that I kind of prefer, like midday light, but because I'm traveling, I want to make the most of the day. So I'm out shooting like from like 8 to 8, 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. Yeah, I get so tired. I just want to sleep when my back hurts, my shoulder hurts, but yeah, that's how, I mean,
but it's rewarding.
We're like
all these
two
gorgeous
days,
photos after,
right?
I'm sure.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's worth it in that sense that I have a lot to work with, and the fact that I'm bringing my camera to my travels, and I know that a lot of people used to say like, oh, but if you're traveling with your camera and you're constantly photographing, you don't really enjoy the place, or blah blah blah. Yeah. And I think that's the furthest of the truth possible, because your camera makes you be extra observant of your surroundings. You're constantly looking for something interesting to happen, or seeking beauty in unexpected places, or just admiring the beauty of expected places.
Admiring.
And that's you know, that I don't want to miss any of that, and so I'm out shooting for the whole day, and these were like 2 days of of photographs. And I think, I mean, I'm editing just a small selection, but I have a lot to work with. I still have the architecture, which was the main reason why I went to Malta, actually. But yeah, just having a sunny day and not making the most of it when you're in a new place just would feel very, very weird to me. I would feel bad with myself. Like I would feel really bad about myself for sure.
Yeah.
That hadn't happened before.
Oh. So like how has you know, like programs like Lightroom and Photoshop like revolutionized like your process or your work?
Well, completely, right? Because I mean, I want to focus on Lightroom specifically because my work is mainly recognized and focused on color, and without Lightroom it just wouldn't have happened the same way, or maybe I wouldn't have this outcome in the end and would have a completely different style. But I'm so happy with this style that I have like Adobe to thank for sure. Because I mean,
shout
how
out
can
Adobe.
exactly. How could I not emphasize the importance of Lightroom in that sense, because it was when I started to work with Lightroom and just experimenting and spending my time with it and just investing the time that I had into learning what the settings were and how could I
how was your learning process? Like, did you get any formal training, or were you just kind of figuring it out as you go?
I was figuring out, because although I was in art school, the fine art school, at least in Portugal or in Lisbon, was very focused on the conceptual and project side of photography and not so much the technical. That was, the job of the student to just figure it out and how you can make it work for you. So I never got any formal training in photography or editing or anything like that. So it was really in just a way of
self-taught.
Self-taught. I didn't look at videos at first for some reason. I'm not sure why. Not a specific reason, because if there's something that I like to advise is to spend the time you have and the resources you have in learning with others. That
I mean, especially because now you've like released your own courses too and your own like educational items.
For sure. And it's such a great way, because even though you might not relate, this didn't work well.
That was a very like audible like, ooh.
No, too much. Bring it down. So the fact, like, even if you don't relate completely with the style of the person, you learn so much. And it's really enjoyable to hear photographers and artists talk about their work and just looking at their process. I love looking at editing videos and
I mean, that's part of this whole, whole reason why Adobe Live exists, is just, getting a peek behind like different creatives and different artists and like what they do, what's in their mind, provide some context around how they work, how they've, came to produce the stuff that they produce,
it's really fun, and you almost always learn something. And even if you don't, it's you learn something. At least you learn like, oh, I like this, oh, I don't really like this, or I relate to this or don't relate to this, and you can start growing your work and developing it in the right direction. So it's just super fun too. And this was the moment, like these. Like, can you see the amount of images that I took of this door with this
one door?
This one door. For some reason, I really like this, and I was like, I hope someone with a dread, with a red or green dress shows up, and people were showing up, but nothing really, worked. I mean, the one that worked the most was this woman, and I thought, okay, I can crop this, and but it just didn't feel like an image that was mine, like, if this makes sense. So sometimes this is a little bit laggy. It just okay, I like it, but it's not what I was hoping for. So sometimes you have to let go and just but I spent a half an hour just here, and like the sun going down, these were like the last hours of the day.
Cody says great door.
Great door.
I mean, I agree, that sign is so cool.
It's so cool. Malta has so many, this type of signs and shops.
It's
just
so, it's
beautifully
very
preserved.
old school,
It is. I mean, yeah,
I
Malta
love it.
has a history of, just it exists before Christ, like 6,000 years ago, and it went from so many different civilizations. So it only got its independence in like the 1950s.
Wow.
And, so it went, from Romans to France to Britain and the Arabs. And it's just a mix of so many different cultures in terms of architecture and everything else, like language and style, culture.
Yeah.
It's really fun. And one of the things that I really liked about it was how it preserved the amount of shop signs. For example, in the capital city now, which is Valletta, just I think there's an Instagram account that's just dedicated to Malta doors.
So that's amazing.
So it's amazing. And Lisbon actually has pretty a nice set of doors as well. But I think Malta overpasses it for sure.
Yeah.
So what I like about this image was the image popping on her phone, which I really enjoyed.
So fun.
Yeah. And some of these images don't see the light of day in terms of I'm going to post all of them in my Instagram, but I just really enjoy like creating a story through them as I edit.
Yeah.
And
I love that her hair like has the same tone.
Yeah, it's like analogous scheme.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's why I noticed her in the first place, because if you can see here that she wasn't taking a picture before, and I was kind of following her a little bit.
And
sometimes
even her sweater with the ground a little bit.
Yeah, it is. That's right. That's definitely true. So yeah, sometimes you only realize what actually drew to an image after you see it. And yeah, I think the colors were something that I really got close to in terms of that subject.
Ferry says, I bring my camera because there are connections between me and my camera that can't be separated. Oh, I love that.
Yeah, because the camera is like an extension of your arm, of your eyes. And the fact that you can I think photography is amazing because of that. The fact that you can just freeze a moment in time is like a magic skill
and that's so accessible too. To everybody and universal.
Yeah, as you can see here, I mean, these people have captured the memory for them through their smartphones, and I'm capturing my memory of them
capturing the memory.
Yeah, exactly.
That's an inception.
So it's just such a fun medium to work with, and it's hard not. I think that's why it's so successful. The fact that photography is so accessible nowadays and just really democratic, and everyone can capture a good moment and take a great picture. And I guess that's where, having a distinct color style or editing style or subject style really can set you apart. But, it's in the reach of anyone. And that to me just makes it feel very, it's very easy to connect through photography and with photographers or people who like photography aren't photographers. And that's really something I enjoy.
Love that.
Oh yeah, this is a new day. The light suddenly changed.
Wow.
And this was more of the contrast,
or red or
structures. I can make it whatever I want with Lightroom, and that's great. I can make it reddish or pinkish or orangey even, and just make it work. I love the little teddy bear here. And here I was mostly attracted to the contrast between the old village and a new structure that's made for people as well. It's just such a fun approach to have with travel photography, is to have like just the position of different things in one image. I mean, I like minimal image and I like negative space, and I usually use sky as a negative space. But there's something in the complexity of subject and just having a lot to fill
A lot
in the
going
eye
on.
and the
Yeah.
frame that I really, really enjoy. Yeah, it's
Oh
just
yeah, that's
something I really,
amazing. Ugh.
really like
And
to
even
look
like
for.
it's so crazy too because you get in close and you start seeing other things. Like I didn't even notice the little kid on the
Yeah,
like the running.
yeah,
So
yeah.
cute. So
That's the
precious. Oh,
very cute and
so
kind of
cute.
matching with the
I know.
surroundings as well.
I know. I love it.
That's I think that's part of the reason I really like having people in my images, even if it's
Yeah.
not portrait super up close. It's just, you start looking at the details and what are these people doing, and
Yeah.
start, creating a story for them.
Yeah.
It's such a fun thing to photograph with people, and it makes like this moment. It makes it not repeatable. So if there weren't any people, maybe I could get a very similar image to this one
Another time or
another
yeah.
time. But these specific people have a place in this photograph that they won't have in any other
time. Yeah, for sure.
That's
incredible.
very, very cool.
That's a good kind of observation, because I didn't even think about that. Like it's one of those things where if it wasn't the way that like certain places or certain walls get photographed over and over again, by the same by different people, but when you have like a human element in there, then it changes, and it's like that's kind of like one of only, one of a kind.
Exactly. Yeah. And I think that's where travel photography can really make a difference, is just the fact that you're trying to, the horizon, of course, it isn't straight, but it's now.
I was going to ask you, like, what are some of the things that, like, I mean, obviously they come natural to you now, but like, what did you struggle with in the beginning as far as like, creating your images?
Everything, I think. Yeah. I think I had a nice sensitivity of like what makes an interesting subject for a photograph, even when it's not apparent, but then everything else was a disaster. Just making the images like I wanted them to look like the ones that I had in my head. So making that way of matching both things. I think the fact that I started with a mobile phone really helped, and I was just focused on composition and not anything else. I wasn't focused on the technical part of photography. That's something that never really interested me the most, at least. It was nice to just focus on the image itself and not having to worry to how can I make this brighter or darker, because that was what I had and that was what I wanted to work with.
Yeah, for sure. I think that's an interesting point, because I think I'm very similar to you in that way, Teresa, where like I also the image itself and the kind of composition or what was going on in the scene was like more important to me than the settings. And like, because sometimes like you can't, like, you can expose a beautiful image, like, or like, expose something perfectly, but if, whatever's in the image isn't like, necessarily interesting or like, at least to you, or then it's like, it really is, it comes down to like each photographer's like goal, or like what their intentions are for their images. And I think it's at the end of the day, it's like we can have like the best equipment, or XYZ, this lens, this camera, but like, you can make do with, even like you said, like your own phone camera, like,
yeah, for sure. I think and I think we are seeing more and more that where great photographies come from mobile photography, or they still use mobile phones to take many of their images. It's just about it being like an intuitive photographer rather than a very technical photographer, and that's something I'll always enjoy. I'll never have problems with that, because I think it was something that was very insecure at first, but once you realize that you can make it work as an intuitive photographer and not get too worried about the technical part,
Right.
It just, it just makes it so much easier.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's basically it. Yeah.
Yeah. Amazing. Cool. Yeah, you guys feel free to ask any more questions or anything that you have for Teresa. I know we've been kind of like chatting back and forth.
Sorry.
No, that's good. It's all of these are very interesting topics, and I did want to ask you because there's so much like we can talk here like about photography all day and style and stuff, but like what was it like for you then? Because are you pursuing this now full time?
Yeah, I think it was like 2-3 years ago when I decided, okay, I think I can make it. I can make this work. And I have to thank the brands that I've been working with for that, because I wouldn't be able to live just of just traveling and photograph. Well, maybe I could, but I would have to invest a lot of money and time, which I didn't have at the time.
Yeah.
And the fact that I get to work with brands that just not only make it a very challenging and interesting exercise to just figure out how I can bring my style into their products. Not only that, but the fact that financially it's how I'm able to survive, and how I'm able to travel more, and the fact that I started to contact brands and started to get more travel opportunities that would, not only was I traveling for work, I then had 1 or 2 extra days that I could focus on my own personal photography. And that's been amazing, really. I guess with COVID, things got a little bit more difficult at that time because I couldn't travel and I was feeling very, very uninspired. Oh, I think Sorry. Yeah. I accidentally, I think I copied like the cropping settings in the preset, which I shouldn't have done. Yeah. But yeah, it's I've been working as a full-time photographer for the last 2 to 3 years, and it's been amazing for sure.
Good. That's awesome. I'm happy for you.
Yeah. When you're able to make that step, if you want to, maybe people want to keep it as a hobby and just
that's true. Yeah, absolutely.
It's but yeah, when I figure out that I could do this full time, I was really, really, really happy.
Yeah, that's awesome. Jurgen says, how do you manage the storage with a camera that shoots like 102 megapixels? Oh wow, so specific.
He knows more than me. But yeah, it's hard because when I in this case, Malta was my first trip with the Fuji. No, Madrid was, but this was like my first. Yeah, I went to Madrid like a month before. Amazing as well. But I had my computer with me because it was for really, really work related. So I didn't have much time to like enjoy the travel side of it.
Yeah.
And it's hard because I got to the hotel at night and I just wanted to sleep because it had been, just 10, 12 hours shooting. You want to just lay down, eat and sleep. But then I have to worry about the storage space that these images take in my SD cards and the computer or the iPad. So I was backing up to the cloud and then on the external SSD.
Drives,
So the way I manage is have 1 terabyte external SSD and like a lot of SD cards, and have them has biggest capacity as you can. I think when I started out, like 32 gigabytes was so expensive and it was hard to purchase, and now you can get like 128 and it's pretty affordable.
It's really, yeah.
So yeah, it's easier now. But like I said, if I do 1 catalog for 1 project, so I don't have to worry about previous images, and this already takes a lot of processing capacity. And even when I have to export, it's not so quick as when I was using my Canon 16. I don't know. I think it was like 16 megas that the images took storage of. But it's just you have to invest a little bit more money, and in storage capacity, whether it's SD cards or external drives, which I recommend SSDs just because they're very fast to work with, and I can edit from them. I don't think I would be able to in other normal external drives, at least for these images. So yeah, that's, I guess, invest a little bit more money and more capacity, and this cloud services, cloud subscriptions a little bit higher, and you start spending more money. But for me, this is definitely worth it to shoot it in these original raw formats that take a lot of space, but also have a lot of possibilities for editing.
A lot of capabilities. I love these chairs.
Yes.
It's interesting because I feel like I look at some of these images, especially the ones like by the pool and all that stuff, like they almost like have like a vintage feel to them, even though I know they've been taken recently, but it's the chairs and like, I don't know, the motion of just, people enjoying the pool.
Completely. Yeah, I think that's something that I really, really like in photography, or like to explore in photography, is like the sense of not having a very temporal element that defines when you are. And I think, I guess these chairs automatically look, and the fact that, it's bathing suits, so there's not a very strong
symbol of like the times or like exactly. Yeah, it's so fun. I love it.
It is. This was crazy because this was in a place where I think I can show you.
Jaroslav says external hard drive. Yep.
Exactly. Yep. That's it. This was in a place where, the boats,
I love this,
just drop people here, and people immediately sit here when they could, like, for 1-2 minutes walking, just be in a place where no one else was. But people really like to stick together, I guess, and don't move around. And it's just really fun for pictures, right? For taking pictures. Just having that amount of people to photograph is just so fun. Like I said, the things where you can get, I think I forgot to develop this preset. Just looking at the different people and just finding new things to be excited about in your images is so cool. It's the best part of the work, for sure.
Jaroslav says, ladies, great talk. Thank you for your time and insight, but I have to hit the road. Thank you for joining us. He says, so much. I can literally fill my coffee cup design and still listen all day. That's so sweet.
Oh, that's
Thank you for watching.
Thank you so much for being here, everyone.
Yeah, these are available for replay, so you can, if you miss anything, you're welcome to go back and watch. And I highly recommend, kind of joining in at random times of the day. There's always something going on on Adobe Live. The schedule's wild. And, that's kind of one of the great things that has come out of, the pandemic, as far as having like a virtual and online community where you can almost like have some people to like listen to, talk, talk in the background. And,
it's
you're learning.
So much fun. Just
so
different things. Even if it's not photography, I love just looking at illustrators.
Yes, illustrators.
And it's
very therapeutic.
So much fun. It's super therapeutic, and it's really, there's really something special in seeing someone just working on what they do. I don't know what it is. It just makes you feel much more closer.
Well, now I'm like inspired, and I'm like, well, I guess maybe I need to take my camera with me to Spain, because now I need to, get inspired and document.
Madrid is a place where everything happens. You have
my gosh,
so many different things happening in the streets, and it's huge, and it's such a great city just to walk through. And in Lisbon, it's not so easy to walk. Like San Francisco, you have like up and downs, up and downs, and it can get really tiresome after some time. And Madrid, you can like spend the whole day walking, like just ahead of you. Everything keeps
yeah.
changing and you don't get that tired. It's really, really
Wow,
nice.
that's incredible.
Yes. Yes. I
Oh,
really,
thank you,
really
Cody,
recommend.
for linking Teresa's Instagram and Behance
Oh, thanks.
profile. So
Thank you so much.
definitely go check her out, follow her, and see more of her work because it is amazing.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm excited
So
to be
fun.
with you.
Yeah.
It's been fun. Yeah,
Oh,
for sure.
good. Yeah. I mean, I'm having so much fun. This is so inspiring.
Hey.
You know, it's like, it's so nice to see like such a like body of work and like, you know, where like I can see where your eye takes you and like where you're like looking for things, and it's such a cool process to watch.
Cool. I'm glad. I was worried that it was just me editing pictures and like, I don't know what to say about this one. But yeah, it's just a way you just have to think about what really attracted to the moment.
What are your kinds of favorite types of photography to shoot? Or like, I don't know if it's like places or objects or things, if there's something that you gravitate towards more. Yeah,
I definitely like to look more at travel and place photos. Interaction of people in place, but naturally, not so intentionally.
Sure.
But I really like you know, photographing still lives and flowers, and I guess the perks of having figure out a creative style is that then you can, you know, just experiment with all the subjects that you want, even if it's not in the traditional way. For example, in architecture, and we'll see this tomorrow, I'm not trying to be an architect photographer. I just really enjoy the architect itself, and I want to capture it and then edit it in my own way to see how it looks. But yeah, I just really like photographing different subjects. But this type of things where there's a lot happening with people, place, some specific color elements that, you know, just draw you to the image automatically is something that I continuously look for in my images, and that's really doable through travel. If I can't travel, I mean, of course, everything is happening around us all the same. I can go to Lisbon or the city center and just try to get inspired then. But yeah, I really like shooting different things. And tomorrow with architecture and fashion, I think you'll get a glimpse of that, where shooting different things, but with a specific style, can bring it all together and make it cohesive and have it a little bit of that signature style in them can make a difference for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Love it.
So, this was a weird place. Sorry, just to mention, such a weird place. This is an amusement park, but this was like the filming location of Popeye with Robin Williams. I don't know if you saw it. Yeah, they made it specially for the movie in Malta. So they wanted a specific bay with some specific conditions, and this was where they could find it. And it was so weird because no one was there. It felt a little bit abandoned. Yeah, kind of sad, but you know, it came up in all the guides and all. Well, I went in October, which is not that touristy in terms of the number like of people that
there visiting.
But yeah, it's fun to also look for these type of scenes where they're kind of weird. I'm not sure if I related completely to the place, but at the same time, it's a memory I have. So I kind of want to work on it, even if just for a little bit in terms of photography. It's just fun to look at memories this way.
Yeah, so fun. I was going to ask you something, but I forgot now. Oh, sorry. That's right. No, you're good. I was going to ask you if there's been ever like maybe one shot where like you're like, I can't believe that like worked out perfectly, like something just unbelievable like happened and it worked for your image. Like, did you ever capture something like that? Like,
well, I think that feeling almost always happened in the beginning with Lightroom, when I started to like bring the highlights down and shadows up and bringing detail in the shadows and highlights, and I can't believe there's something to work here, because I thought I was like having I had a super strong contrast, and it was very black and very bright, and this is useless, I won't be able to do anything. And that's where the magic happens. Amazing. And yeah,
or even like compositionally, like maybe like as you're shooting, not necessarily like when you're editing, but like that you've captured something like, oh my God, this person came right at the whatever.
Oh, you know? Yeah. That definitely happens sometimes. Sometimes it doesn't, like the green door with the red sign. No, that didn't happen. But sometimes it really does, and it's so nice when you have just really nice color matches that kind of feel like I was there for a really long time, or I had to ask someone to come along and just please be in the picture so you can match your clothes with this specific element. But yeah, that when that happens, it's such a great feeling, because you know, when you have that, you already have like half the image done. You know, it's just it's already really exciting to work with. But yeah, that definitely happens in street. You sometimes don't really remember what you've been shooting throughout the day. It's like I see images that I can. It's not that I don't remember shooting them, but the subject had been lost in my mind, and I was focusing on something else. And then, oh yeah, this worked. I can't believe this worked, because sometimes it's just so fast, or just really fleeting. And when you're in a fast-paced scene, it's really hard sometimes to get the composition right. And when it does,
I love this image, by the way.
Oh, thanks.
I love of these chairs.
Yeah, and it was raining like 2 minutes before, and then the sun comes up, and you know, luckily I had enough time to wait before the ferry trip was over and get this picture.
And I love that the man there too basically matches his entire scene. Like his shorts match the shorts. His backpack matches the little side. What is it, like
the
what do you call that thing? You know what I'm talking about.
I know, but you're the native speaker.
I know, right? I think I know the word in Spanish too. It's like sobre. But basically, he's like his backpack matches that little thing. His shirt matches the water, and his hair matches the yellow.
I didn't even notice the water match.
I love it.
That's great. Perfect. Yeah, that's great. I was focused here, just the fact that, you know, the juxtaposition again of the old and the kind of new. And then just the colors that, you know, when I'm out shooting, I'm mostly drawn to colors, and this was something that was easy, hard to let go and move past by. For sure. I love ferry boats, and transportation methods are usually very colorful, which is great.
Amazing. And of course it's like perfect, like blue and that like yellow orange color. That's so such a nice contrast. Amazing.
So cool. This is just so fun to work on. I really, actually, I'm doing this.
How do you like then determine what you post on your Instagram? Because I feel like
it's hard.
Yeah,
it's hard. It's sometimes hard. Yeah, it kind of depends on the mood I am. And
oh my gosh, Moses just said the life preserver. Oh, thank you, Moses.
Life preserver. I would never, ever.
I would not
figure
have
that out.
Nope. Robert says savior wreath. Wow,
I'm learning so much today.
Yeah, we learn all the time from our amazing chat. So thank you.
Thank you so much. Yeah.
Life preserver. Wow.
In Portuguese, it has one word. It's like the shape of the thing. It's not like. We do have the life preserver translation.
Sure.
Yeah, but I would not have figured it out by the end of this session.
I don't think I would have either.
And I'm editing these images, and like you were mentioning, how do I decide? Like I'm editing them now, but I will probably go back to them like in a day or two and just figure out if there's something I can improve, or like maybe I'm not feeling it for this picture for some reason. Something's not working, and it doesn't matter how much time I spend on it now that I won't get anywhere else. So I kind of need some distance from it from time to time, and just take a break from the images and just let them breathe. And then when I come back, I can figure out what was missing. But in terms of what I'm going to post, it really depends on kind of the images that I've been posting lately.
Like maybe like what's around it too and what makes sense.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Maybe try it that way.
John says life belt in UK. Life belt in UK.
How nice.
Cody says life donut.
Donut.
Or Moses says also the candy lifesaver.
Candy lifesaver. Good. Yeah.
Oh wow, good. You guys,
we're learning.
We're learning. I love the life donut. Why can't it be called life donut? Let's just call it life donut.
Yes, I think that's the one I'm going to remember.
Yeah, me too.
Life donut is great. Life donut.
I know.
Oh. So this was an overcast day, and it's kind of like I kind of missed the blue from the sky here.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. I mean the water is kind of gray, and this is something that I probably won't post because it's not that I kind of like the boat here, and the streets are beautiful in Malta, of course, but I kind of wish it was sunny and there was more color. So it just more color has exactly.
Yeah. Sure.
Sometimes I click on the whoop. No, I do this all the time. Sometimes I click on some key that like goes back.
Oh no!
But
can you go forward?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah,
I think so, right?
I'm back. Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
It's because of the streaming software and the Lightroom and the big files, everything gets a little bit slower, but we're getting there. And this was just a fun moment because it was so windy, and you can see like the man was trying to tie his coat.
Oh my gosh! Wait.
I didn't know if I should photograph or help. Sometimes you're in that situation. but thankfully she managed to close and grab the lady by her arm.
Oh my
and
gosh.
It was just so
that's so precious.
It is it was super windy, and I think these fun moments, even if I don't post them, I just really like having
really nice
a visual memory of them. Yeah, for sure. Exactly.
I love that.
That's the best part of photography, I'm sure.
Okay, so Robert says that on a ship, it is Savior Wreath. That's what it's called. Okay, interesting.
Savior Reef? Reef? Okay. There are a lot of words already. We didn't know even one, Arabella.
No, we didn't know. I know. I knew it in Spanish, I think. It's like sobrevida. I don't even know.
In Portuguese, it's boia salva-vida, shows lifesaver.
Okay, yeah.
I don't know how you say boia.
One of those things.
One of both, yeah.
Any Portuguese Spanish speakers, let us know.
Exactly.
Moses says, what about sky replacement? Oh, salvavidas. Thank you, Paco. See, my Spanish escapes me sometimes.
Yes.
I think I was thinking of sobrevivir, which means to survive. So then I was like, oh, maybe it has to be something like that, but it is salvavidas. Moses was saying that sky replacement. So like Adobe, like the Photoshop has that like filter. Option. So you could technically, if it wasn't,
but the fact that I don't have like the light and shadow that the sun would provide, the sky for me always looks a little bit weird, and I notice it. And even if other people don't, the fact that you do, sometimes it's just enough to not giving it a shot. And I'm fine with, of course, if it was the only image that I had to work with, maybe I would spend more time on it and try to make it a little bit closer to that. But I have, I'm happy with the pictures I took, and I guess I just kind of want to avoid like any extra editing if I can. I already have to edit so much when I'm working with brands and taking still. I've like this.
Look at how many photos you photographed like during this one trip, Yeah.
And I have more. These are just like the travel side of what I brought here. Wow. So I'm perfectly happy with just letting go one or two. But yeah, sky replacement is a good idea. If you're going to make it work for your pictures, that's great. I think because I'm looking for the light and shadow elements, then it doesn't work so well for me.
Yeah, definitely. Kara says, we recently played with sky replacement and it was awesome.
Oh, cool.
Super cool.
Yeah, I have to try more probably. It's just the, I kind of like that I only go through Lightroom here and I just take a look at these pictures one by one and edit them just through color and tone and not add anything else. But if it were more less pictures, I probably would explore.
Would try it or explore.
Yeah, for sure.
I love this image.
Oh, the sign of times. This isn't.
Well,
this
the
one
color
isn't
of the
intemporal.
car and and the mask and the trash, or like what are like gloves or?
I think they're gloves.
Tissue?
I think so.
Yeah, or something. Yeah.
Yeah, one of both. Yeah,
cool.
for sure. It doesn't look timeless now because there's a very specific timely element, so we know of what this.
I think that for me, it makes it's the color of the car too. That like it has the vintage element with the color of the car, because you don't see that kind of color.
No, but it is a vintage car. I mean, you can.
Okay.
Here it is. Oh, I love the sign of this. I don't know. Did I mess it up? But yeah, it says that yes, I have paid my tax. Now go fix some effing potholes.
Wait, that's amazing. Can I have that? I want that sticker.
I want that sticker, exactly. But yeah, the car is vintage and the mask is very contemporary. So I thought that was a funny,
that's amazing.
A fun contrast for sure.
Yeah. That's so fun. That's so fun. I love that.
I kind of tried, like when I was in Madrid, I wanted to keep away from masks and just having people not realize what the time was, what the timeline was, and it was hard. I don't know how things are in the US, but in Europe we're still pretty active maskers. So
yeah, I mean, I think it depends on like where you're at for sure. Like every state is kind of a little bit different. I know that like the West Coast, East Coast, especially like in the major cities, like we're definitely like wearing masks and stuff. I know we had reinstated, at least in our area, the mask mandate, which I guess that's another element of photography that's kind of like, interesting. If you are a street photographer, it's like, okay, like you're gonna gravitate towards it because you're like, wow, this is like something that we went through and it's gonna be like memories in that sense. But then, you could also be like yourself, where it's like maybe
it really depends on the mood, but yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, that's exactly it. And that's actually something I think a lot of street photographers and photographers in general really get attracted to old cars, because cities have new cars and it's they often kind of unbalance an image.
They do.
And you kind of wish they didn't exist, but then when antique and vintage cars appears, everyone wants a picture of them.
Everyone wants it. Yeah.
Well, I think they were more beautiful back then, beautifully designed. Too. Now we have like weird boxes, and they had like lines and shapes that were interesting, and
they're
color.
Just too gray and cold. They're not colorful and like fun.
They're not. Yeah. So it's normal that I think we get attracted by
gravitate towards that.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah.
I know. Yeah. If you see like a vintage car like parked somewhere on a street, like automatically it's like something that I want to like take my phone out and like capture.
Yeah, for sure. It's automatic. I think everyone feels like that.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going through the images because the ones I flagged, I just filtered through flag to see. Because I think these one from this is called the Blue Lagoon. It's
I love this.
This is more like this.
It's not your usual style, but it is. Yes, it does like Wes Anderson, absolutely.
Doesn't it? Yeah, absolutely. I went to this lagoon thinking I'm going to make something like a visual story here. So I started with the way I got there, which was by boat. And I kind of sometimes you just kind of feel like you want to try something new and it works or it doesn't, but it's always fun to keep that space just open that you're able to try different things and not be very worried about the results or what people might think or anything else. I mean, it's hard sometimes. We're our own worst enemy. That's what everyone says, right? But
yes.
Yeah. It's
I
fun to try.
It's so dreamlike too, with all the clouds, like perfectly,
yeah,
we don't even see any water.
We don't, yeah.
Barely.
It was a bumpy ride, so it's normal that you're not seeing because we work constantly.
And there we have our life donut. Our life donut.
Our life donut,
exactly. Just right there.
And I mean, blue and orange are just a very natural complementary harmony that just works beautifully. So it's always fun to capture these two elements when they're very strong. Yeah, it's really fun.
So good.
Good.
I know, right?
Happy you do.
Something so pleasing, aesthetically pleasing.
Yeah, it helps, and I don't know. The sky for me didn't look real, and that's why I took the picture, because when I was,
you're like,
it looked
wow,
like
is
screens
this actually...
or like I'm in a studio, like a movie studio, movie set or something. Very Hollywoody.
Well, what's crazy about your work too specifically is like, I mean, now that I'm getting to see your process really, like from like travel photos from start, or like from original to actually edited. If I were to just look at your your Instagram, I would have thought like, oh, she definitely is doing a lot of Photoshop magic or whatever to like make certain things, like whether it's by removing some people or like, especially for travel photos, sometimes there's just naturally a lot of people, but you're being intentional with your composition and all these other things that like, you're really not doing that much.
I don't think so. I don't,
like,
this was a pretty boring session, right?
No, not at all.
No, but I think people really expect, and I would only think that because that's the feedback that I received, that what I would go back and forth with one image and just go Photoshop Lightroom. That's not really the case. I think color can just have such an impact in an image. It's crazy.
Yeah, so cool.
Oh, okay. Cool. I think
amazing.
I'm going to leave it. And now what I would do
# life donut.
Great. Life donut. I won't forget that one. I'm just like taking like an overview of the images I edit and just see if one pops out kind of wrongly. Like this one wasn't edit, that's why it doesn't pop the same way as the others. And then I would just like star the ones that I kind of want to export. I don't want to export them all together because my computer isn't capable of such thing.
Of a lot of things at once.
Of a lot of yes.
Awesome.
And it's making it too green. This is I kind of like using references view for this type of things where the water is pretty different. It's more greenish here and blue. Sometimes that can be intentional, of course, but if I'm creating a story like a carousel or doing something that's going to be shown in the same place, it really helps to get this view open and just kind of match the things that are more visible somehow through color and tone. I really like this reference view. It's that's really nice. So useful.
We have about 4 minutes left, you guys. So if you have any last minute questions for Teresa, feel free to drop them in. Otherwise, we'll be available tomorrow as well. But any last minute questions, feel free to drop them in the chat. John's asking, did you use one lens when in Malta?
Yes, I only travel with one lens because I hate the idea of like having lens multiple in my pocket and this would be better with this one, and having that time to change. I'm not agile enough for that. I'm not quick on my feet in that sense. I only use the zoom lens exactly because of that. I use a 32-64, which is like a 24-50. Kind of the same. And it's just so useful because I have
you have a lot of versatility
between I think that's the reason why people use them. And I'm not, as I said, I'm not a technical photographer, so I know that prime lens are the lens to go, and that's a little bit like the overcast days were the best to shoot in. It's like preconceived ideas that photography still has from time to time. But now I think with mobile phones, we understand that we can do whatever we want, and as long as it works for us, it's what matters. And the zoom lens definitely works for me in that sense. I mean, I wish I was smart enough to use different lenses, but I'm not.
But it's almost like, you know, if you're fiddling a lot with like your, you know, your equipment, it's like then you miss certain opportunities sometimes because
I think if you can minimize the distractions, it's at least for street photography, that's really important. If it's something where you're just looking at a building, maybe it's not that big of a deal and you can take your time. But when things are happening in the moment and you want to capture that, I wouldn't really, I mean, it depends. I know a photographer that, you know, he was shooting a train coming at him and he managed to like switch lens between. And I mean, our hearts were in our hands, but he loves it. And it just works so well for him. And he definitely has like two different views of the same image because lens can make such an impact on this. Which is great that it works for him, but I could never ever try to do that for sure. Oh no.
Cody says I always use one lens when traveling too. Hate changing it.
And I hate bringing my laptop. I hate bringing stuff that, you know, just
weighs me down because the camera itself is so heavy and the lens makes it even more heavy. And if my back are like how they are by the end of the day, I can't imagine bringing like extra stuff with me. It's just no. Yeah, absolutely. What happened? Well, thank you so much, Teresa. This is like amazing.
Of course, thank you.
I had so much fun chatting with you. And I'm sure everyone in the chat as well loved this session. So make sure to come back tomorrow, 9:30 a.m. PST, for day 2. And we're going to be working on some more like architecture, right? And
and fashion, very so outside of my comfort zone. Just trying out new things.
It's gonna be awesome. So make sure to stick around for the Illustrator Daily Creative Challenge with Claudia, and then followed by Branding and Identity Design with Ali Rose Co. And we'll see you guys tomorrow. So bye.
Thank you so much.